You've probably been there before. A demo call seems to go great, the prospect nodding along, even ends up with saying, "This looks great." Yet 2 weeks later, they've either gone dark, can't get in touch with them, or they hit you with the dreaded, "We've gone with another provider" email. So I've uncovered why prospects actually ghost you. And in this video, I'm going to share 3 questions that'll stop it. Because everyone thinks that good discovery means asking about challenges. And most discovery actually sabotages your close rate. In almost every case where deals go dark, the answer is simple. You've never actually uncovered their true pain. So it's not enough just to ask about challenges. I've analyzed hundreds of discovery calls, and I'm going to show you in this video how you can ask questions that can get even the most guarded prospects to reveal their actual challenges, to build enough leverage to overcome pricing objections, create a sense of urgency that accelerates your sales cycle, and transform your demos from feature tours into compelling solution narratives. These 3 questions will do just that. But before diving in, here's exactly what we're going to cover today. First off, we're going to look at why most discovery calls fail and the 3 deadly traps that are positioning you as a commodity vendor. You got to understand that before understanding exactly what questions to ask so you can steer clear of the mistakes. Then we're going to look at the real psychological reason why people buy. We're going to give you a hint here and now to kind of pique your interest. It's not benefits, it's not features, it's something else that'll change the way you sell. Then we're going to look at the 3 pain-enhancing questions, which sequence to use them and when to ask them, how to ask them, and what you have to listen for when asking them. And finally, I'm going to show you how to put it all in action with a clear action plan so you can actually start right after this video implementing it today. Let's go. So here's why 70% of sales rep miss quota. They're making 3 deadly mistakes that's turning them into commodity vendors. And the first mistake is the feature tour trap. If we look at the picture here, we see a lovely lady sailing around in the canals of Copenhagen, showing different sites, showing different features. And if you're doing something similar in your demo, let's say you're asking the prospect, "What features are you looking for?" And then taking them on a tour in the canals around your platform, you're basically starting from a fundamentally flawed position. And the reason being is that feature-oriented demos, they'll put the burden on the prospect to know what they need. But the uncomfortable truth, but also the liberating truth, is that prospects don't know what they need. They only know what hurts. And when you anchor discovery around features, you're positioning yourself as a vendor where you're inviting the prospects to create a checklist that they can use to compare to other vendors. And at the end, price will become the deciding factor. We need to steer clear of this and avoid this at all costs, which is what you'll get help doing with the questions I'm going to cover later. But the second mistake is the surface level problem. And if we look at the iceberg here, it's probably a classic image that you've seen. There's more to what meets the eye. And this, let's see, this is the full problem. But when we're asking questions, potentially if you're asking a question like, "What challenges are you facing with your current solution?" you're only going to get surface level answers. So what does that actually look like? It might look like somebody saying, "We need better reporting." It might look like somebody telling you that their current workflow is too slow or that they're looking for something more user friendly. But the thing is, these are not pain points. They're symptoms of pain points. And if we look at "we need better reporting," behind that might be a VP who's frustrated because he can't justify his team budget to the C-suite, and therefore they can't get better results. They can't really show what they're doing. That's the pain. That's the problem. Not so much that they need better reporting. So you got to dig deep. If we're thinking about the current workflow being too slow, that might mean that somebody's missing critical deadlines or losing client trust. But if you don't ask deeper, you're not going to figure it out. And you might just jump straight into solution mode. For user friendliness, it might be employee turnover because they can't really just be bothered with using something that's so horrible. So they come to you looking for more user friendliness, but you need to understand why they're coming to you. If you don't, you're gonna have what's called the happier syndrome. And this is one of the most dangerous things, which will lead your prospects ghosting you, which will leave you without any leverage to create urgency or shorten that sales cycle. And that's when you're sitting like this after hearing a question like or an answer like this. Like, oh shoot, user friendliness. That's exactly what we do. Let's jump in and show you how we do it. Big old problem. Don't ever jump straight into solution mode. Once somebody tells you a challenge, the real pain discovery happens after the first challenge. It happens with discomfort where you ask follow-up questions about a potential pain point. This means that you're going to lower your hands here. You're not going to sit like this guy. You're going to ask questions and sit through uncomfortable silences when the prospect is telling you about something that hurts or is uncomfortable or that makes them feel the pain. Because if you have the happier syndrome, you move into solution mode just after hearing a challenge, and then you're going to end up creating weak, generic demos that's going to fail to resonate with your prospects' specific situation. It's just going to be something that all the other competitors that you have is going to show. You're not going to tie your specific solution into their specific problem. And prospects will say things on the back of this on your generic ass demo. Let me think about it. They're not going to make a decision on the spot. Might say that your solution seems interesting, but I don't know, the pricing is a bit high, or this is not like the biggest priority right now. Or might want to run it by their team so they can get off the call and go on with their day, right? Because you haven't made them feel the reason that they're actually there. And, we would never uncover their true pain, which is exactly what we're looking to do now. So here's what top 1% of sales rep understand. They understand what everybody else misses, and it's the real reason why people buy. Because prospects, they don't buy features. They're not coming to you for better reporting or a more user-friendly platform. They're not even buying the benefits of this, like just it's quicker or it's more, nice to use, or it's gonna give more time of the day, or it's gonna buy you back some of whatever that might be. They're not doing it because of the benefits. They're not doing it because of the features. They're doing it because of pain. And more specifically, they're doing it to alleviate pain. So here's the reality. The deeper the pain, the faster they'll buy. And the more personal the pain is, the more impact that you can uncover, the higher the price they'll pay. And the really important thing to remember is that most prospects aren't aware of their current pain until you help them discover it. They don't know exactly what it is. They haven't quantified it. They haven't looked at it from the perspective that you need to help them do. And the three questions I'm going to share is going to guide them through a journey of self-discovery that reveals not just the challenges they have, but also the business impact and the personal impact that these challenges have. And by question 3, your prospects will be feeling the full weight of what inaction is costing them every single day. So let me show you how it works. The 3 pain enhancing questions. Because now that we understand how traditional discovery fails, let me show you how the 3 pain enhancing questions actually transform it into a much better experience for you, for the prospect, for the company you work for. And I call these pain enhancing questions because that's exactly what they do. They enhance and amplify the pain, turning vague discomfort into urgent necessity. And we were looking at 3 questions. I've called them the regretter, the X-ray, and the quantifier. And if we start by looking at the regretter, this is the first question you'll ask once you've warmed up the prospect a little bit. What challenges in X area would you regret not solving 6 to 12 months out? And this question is really, really powerful because it gets the prospect to zoom out, stop thinking about the small day-to-day fires that they're putting out, and really thinking about the long-term forest fires that that actually matters. And What it actually does, as it briefly mentions, is it's going to surface the long term high impact pains. It's going to filter out the low priority issues. It's going to anchor the conversation in future consequences. It's going to build urgency without pressure. And you're basically saying, let's talk about the things that you can't ignore. This is how we find problems with staying power, the kind of problems that drive deals forward. What you want to listen for is, if we don't fix this, statements or repeated frustrations or bottlenecks, emotional or reflective tones, or mentions of goals or deadlines tied into the future. Take a note of it, use it as leverage for later. The x ray is honestly one of the most important questions in sales. It goes like this: what challenge is going on in your business that's driving that to be a priority, which is the long term 6 to 12 month out challenge that they regret not solving? And why is this such a good question? First, we have a challenge, a big challenge or a problem. Nice, that's good. But why is that a priority? This actually uncovers the need behind the need. It's going to tell you the root cause of why this is important. Why is it important now? And what you want to kind of, yeah, of course, what it does, it's going to uncover the root cause. It's going to connect the symptom to the real business pressure. It's going to create clarity with your help, of course. You might need to be silent for a while, let them think. You might need to ask a couple of follow up questions, but it positions you as curious, not pushy. We want to understand what's going on. Why is this a problem? And you're going to listen for things like honestly, or the real issue is, mentions of potential internal blockers or people problems, signs of tension between teams or goals, or laughter aside before answering, potentially when they remember the meeting they had last week with the team where everybody was just ranting on about, we need to solve this, and if we don't do that, this is going to happen. So you're going to just make them open up, make them talk. And when you hear that pause, when you think, okay, this is why it's actually a priority, that's the moment of truth. That's where you just uncovered the real buying reason. But that's not enough, because we have the challenge, we have the need behind the need, why this is a priority. But now we also want to build up the cost of inaction with the quantifier. So, what metric would improve the most if you solve that? So now you're helping them quantify the problem. Most prospects, they don't think about their problems in numbers. They just think in frustration, which is natural. If so nobody's ever asked you how much X is this taking you or doing, then you won't have an answer. But by asking these questions, you're going to help them turn that frustration into financial impact, which is critical to drive urgency, to make them understand the actual gravitas of this problem. And as you can see here, what it does, it's going to quantify the value of solving the problem. It's going to translate pain into measurable impact. It's going to build up the business case naturally, and it's going to set up future ROI discussions. So here you're not even pitching them, you're helping them do the math. And that's what gets you out of nice to have territory and into need to have. What you want to listen for is specific KPIs, we'd save or we'd gain statements, numbers tied to efficiency or outcomes, or hesitation before answer. And the last thing, if they hesitate before they answer, it might actually be a good thing, because it means that they're thinking about this for the first time. There's a big problem there, and you understand why it's a priority, and now you're helping them think through what this is actually mean in numbers and metrics and finances. And here's the kind of the beauty of this sequence. We start with the regretter that gets them talking about what matters. Then we get the X-ray, which reveals why it actually matters, and then we end off with the quantifier, which shows you how to measure the success of solving this problem, of course. And by the end of these three questions, you're going to understand not just their problem, but the business context and the underlying pressure, as well as the success metric. So that's pretty much everything you need to create a compelling business case. So here's where it gets interesting, because I want you to put it into action right in here and now. And the 3 steps, pretty simple. We start with just adapting the questions to your industry and solution, writing it out, practicing a couple of times to make sure that it's something that suits your industry and suits the way you talk. Then you practice it 5 to 10 times with a colleague or a manager, role play for a bit, so it feels natural asking these questions. And then you set up tracking so you can look at, if you don't have that already, your close rate, your sales cycle, your average customer value, and potentially also the most common objection that you face. These four things are really good to track because let's say after 10, 20, 30 calls, you've been asking these questions, you look at it, and then you can see how much this has an impact. So go try it in the wild after you've done these three steps. And if you're not asking questions that have this level of depth in terms of uncovering pain and quantifying it, you will thank me for introducing it. So if this helped you, like the video so I know exactly what videos to make more of. You write a comment if you're starting today with implementing this tactic, or if there's a question you've asked and really works well that may be kind of similar, share it with the community, and subscribe for more real world sales strategies that can help you improve your performance.